Hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Another day in the world of technology. Uh, my name is Michael Woodson, and together with my host, Susan Graves, we are blessed. We are blessed. Episode 32 here
We
at the
absolutely
Hospital
are, Michael.
Tech Show to have Dr. Abigail. Welcome to the show, and and to the Hospitality Tech Show. And
Thank you for
well,
having me.
yes, yeah, and it's been interesting waiting for this day. So, and with anticipation, let's give thanks for having the privilege of having somebody sponsor this show. We've got four of them. Our workforce Montgomery, they are been good to us, as well as the folks at Integrity Restaurant Group and also IBM. Also, want to give thanks to Bob Falcon there at Integrity Group, and also Mike Brumigan, all and also Danny Barnett at IBM. So welcome. Interesting person. Now, I'm going to call her, although Dr. Innovation, but she doesn't like that. But it's Dr. Abigail. We've had the privilege. I'm just going to really go down and tell the world who you are. Dr. Abigail Joseph is an architect of human experiences. As a computer scientist with a PhD, she's done several tech talks, and she's the creator of the Innovation Doctor. She has spent over 20 years mastering the space where technology, creativity, and human potential intersect. With this PhD from the University of California, Santa Cruz, and over 2 decades of leading innovation programs for organizations like the Oracle Education Foundation. She has discovered that the principles for sparking creative and achieving joyful results are universal. Her work proves that you don't need an industry insider to solve an industry's biggest problems. And of course, in the era of AI, as you know, there are many. You need a better framework. And they didn't get the memo, but she's going to explain what that means, a better framework. And as the innovation doctor, she provides that framework, helping professionals and teams bridge what she calls the lab, logic systems, in the studio, creative play, and to move their most important ideas from concept to reality. Welcome, Dr. Abigail Joseph. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Michael, for that great introduction. I'm so excited to be in conversation with you and Sue today.
Yeah, we're excited. Should we dive right in there, Michael?
Go right ahead.
Wait. So, Dr. Abigail, you've got this really super rich story, and I love a story. You've got the immigrant roots, the science camps at your dad's job, and now working in tech and education. Are you kidding? Wow. So when you look back, because we got to look back a little bit to get the whole story, right?
Yeah.
What were a couple of moments that sort of quietly, maybe not so quietly, but kind of set you on this path if you were to look back and you didn't even realize it maybe at that time, but like when you look back, like were there some quiet moments that put you on this path that
Definitely. And as you talked about my experience with a summer science program that I started in Bell Laboratories where my father worked back in 8th grade, there were pivotal moments along that way that really put me on this trajectory to where I am today. Starting with building an alarm clock from scratch. Literally, I spent the summer with the kit, with all the parts, the transistors, the resistors, learning how to solder, and built an alarm clock, which it worked for pretty far into my college career until it broke and I forgot how to fix it. But I still have it as a beacon and a remembrance of the hard things that I can do. So that was one pivotal moment. The second was in high school when I spent a summer working. I worked with 2 fellows, and the first thing they did was plop a C programming book in front of me and say, "This is what you're going to learn this summer."
I love
it. You got it.
I had a book, and I opened it up, and day by day, page by page, I learned some C programming and was able to do a little bit of a project and help out their department in a small way as a high school student, and that set me on the trajectory of wanting to study computer science in college. And all through college, I had these experiences with internships that I was doing in Bell Labs. And I'll say the last pivotal moment in that arc is I spent many summers working with a scientist, Dr. Doug Reichen, who at the time was getting his PhD in computer science under Marvin Minsky through MIT. And he's the person who got me to go to grad school. Wow. And he was a classical pianist. He studied at Juilliard and was now doing his PhD in computer science. And I happened to be in his orbit and was super impressed that he used to play keys for some of those famous people. And now was studying computer science. And he told me, "What are you doing after undergraduate?" And I said, "I don't know." He said, "Oh, to graduate school." And that is how I landed going. I went into studying computer science in grad school. And the rest is sort of history.
Wow, that's a great story, and I don't want to stop there. I want you to zoom out with me.
Yeah.
All these experiences that you just shared, amazing, awesome, incredible, fun too, right?
Yeah.
How do you think those kind of experiences shape the way we see what's possible now? And what's the hospitality version of the spark for young people today? Because I think that's what we really need. There's a lot of, it's a messy space right now. So what do you think about that? How do you picture that?
Yeah, the spark for young people today really is a lot of my career paths have all been about invitations, being reached out and invited to do a thing, right? Dr. Reichen reached out to me and said, "I think you should go to graduate school." And he was a pivotal mentor in my life in getting me to that place of applying, helping me to obtain a fellowship for graduate school. So I had all 6 years paid through Lucent Technologies. But that invitation, I might have thought about going to graduate school, but the invitation to extend it out to go. Another way I'll explain that story that appeared to me was this woman reached out to me to go to a science hackathon in San Francisco, nearby where I live. And my only image of hackathons was nerdy white men and not being able to belong. So I wasn't about to go, but because she, as a woman who was part of the creation team of this hackathon, reached out to me personally and said, "I think you should come. I want you to come." I went, and I ended up having a great time. I found the other women who were of the creative spirit and mind of me, and I was able to connect. And we played for 2 days straight, creating a tarot. What do we call it? The periodic tarot. So we were mashing up tarot cards with the periodic table, and had just a fun time imagining new possibilities. And so, but it was, again, that invitation, I think.
Yeah, but you said yes. You said yes.
And
don't forget that too. You said yes.
Yeah.
So perspective on that. Oh, you're a woman, right? And not a lot of women in the room at that time, right?
Yep.
Today we talk about, that STEM, right? Mm-hmm. And the importance of that. Out of that experience, fast forward to where we're now. Do you see a difference from when you went there? Now, where today we see more women in the hackathon. I think I have mentored more women in information technology. One just finished up with her project at her capstone on a clone. I think it was, what did she do? It was, I had 2 of them the last week, a couple of weeks. Oh, drone security. That's exactly what it is. Drone security. Very forward-thinking thoughts that she put forward in her capstone project. Yeah. And the drone security is just something where she wants to go now into her PhD. Very interesting woman. So more of you, even when you go to Black Hat, you see more women. Black Hat's in August. I don't know if you've been, but you
haven't been to that.
Excuse me?
I haven't been to that one.
Well, you should. You should. Okay. And so, as such, let's talk about where we are now. And we know what we've been. You've seen the transition. You've been in this, 20 years, and
Yeah.
you've seen that growth. What's your
Yeah.
perspective on that? For those women that are listening who are thinking about it. Even, I have a daughter. She's an engineer.
Yeah.
Went to software engineering from Syracuse University,
Yeah.
and that's what she has done. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And now, she's working and does her thing as she's a project manager, but she really went to school for software engineering.
Yes.
Odd, one of few in her class.
Still one of few,
I
which
mean,
is,
I just
yeah.
don't get it. Why?
Yeah. Well, my observation. So when I left graduate school, I went into education, and I was worked in the middle school layer for 17 years when I was teaching in K-12 schools. And I chose that specific age group because I knew that was the time where girls were making decisions about what they were capable and not capable of doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the landscape of technology itself, I could see it shifting and changing because now we're moving into a world where it's not about your technology skill, about knowing the technology itself,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more about the problem solving. And women and girls, generally speaking, are problem solvers. They like to work in community. They like to work on solving solutions to make the world a better place. When I was teaching, that was the thing that I always try to bring in some social justice angles in the projects that we did, because those are you just give them a technical problem and they can do it for sure, but you encapsulate that in problem solving and doing something with purpose in the world. That's how we get them. That's how we grab them into that space. And now that spaces are all intermingling and integrated and intertwined, I think we will see more girls and women in the STEM fields, in the STEM space, because we're not just saying you have to be in a lab, dark lab, soldering resistors or whatever it is.
No, I don't want them in the closet. I don't want them in the back room. I put them forward on my teams. I've been in technology and assembling teams, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to use this. I had to learn early in the game. We as men, we have to accept we are dumb. And women see black and white. I mean, men see black and white, and women see multiple colors. And so, in that context of that, you ask a woman, what do you see over there? They're going to give you a full detail. Man wearing a red shirt, da 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 da. A man, I see a guy walking across the street. That's not what's the question, right? Analytical skills a little more. And in terms of technology, when I love women in the room when we're doing the whiteboard session, because it really puts the context of, dressing it up so it makes sense. All right. And so if you've ever been in a whiteboard session, you see guys go up there and you like trying to make about a woman when they do it. It's always neat. And it's coordinated and it's wow. What are your thoughts on that? That analytical skills that women tend to have, and you're seeing that more and more, right? You would agree. Look at yourself. You have a PhD, and there are more PhDs than women are getting PhDs. So, what's your thought on that?
Yeah, well, I love your whiteboard example because that explains it. Women, generally speaking, want to include everyone. They think about the big picture, and they're very detailed oriented. All the students that I've worked with, the girls tended to excel because they were more methodical and more thoughtful in the process versus kind of rushing through to prove that they were right. That's a bit of my observation around that, and that women also tend to be deeper listeners, and it takes that listening to understand all the different perspectives in the room and encapsulate them together to present them in a clear, coherent manner.
Well, as men, we're just like I told you. I hate to say it, and I got the memo earlier. My mother taught me earlier. You always get the woman advice, and you'll be okay. So, so one thing I want to set the tone. This is a hospitality show, so we have innovation in today. We're today in the era of AI. But however, let's go back to where the heydays when you came out of, like I did, soldering resistors and learning from my brother. And the danger of, my mother used to call us Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And we were the type of guys that if we bought a new TV, we'd like to take it apart and see what's in there, right? And I came up during the day of ham radio and all of that. So, putting a big antenna on there and talking around the world and taking things and building things like yourself. So with that said, here we are, fast forward, and that thing that you did, I'm concerned that we're losing that. So just before we go, I just want to believe that. What are your thoughts on that innovation of the basics of the, getting down and understanding the basics, as opposed to now, fast forward, someone says, just puts it in a prompt and it does it for them.
Yeah, you hit the. That's the current problem, right? The work I currently do with the Oracle Education Foundation, we teach technology-based design challenges to our high school students and our partner schools that we work with. And this year our conversation has been, well, if they can vibe code it, what should we be teaching? Do we need to teach them the fundamentals of CS? If right now, if really they can come up with a solution like that. And so there must be something else that people need as a future skill. Yes, we still there is without no doubt that we will need people who understand the code, who understand the technical aspects. That is not going away, even though we may think that it's going away, it's not going away. But when we're looking at young people and they can vibe code, funny story. I just learned how to vibe code a website. I was blown away that in 30 minutes, I could create a polished website that usually takes me, I would probably work 2 or 3 days on trying to get this thing beautiful, moving the fonts, the graphics, in all the right ways. 30 minutes. Why am I going to spend 3 to 3 days working on a website when I can create one in 30 minutes?
There you go.
Live coding it, right? So the question is, what are the skills? What are the future skills? What are these enduring skills that people need to take forward as they move into their next phase of their career? And that agility, the creative problem solving, the ability to collaborate, communicate, all those skills that we've been talking about for some time, but I think people have been just pushing it down. Yeah, that's good, but we're still in this world of everyone's got their field and their lane and what they're focused on. But those soft skills, that's what's coming to the surface, because you can, and the ability to learn, right? You have to know how to be a learner. You can't just expect things to come to you. If you don't know how something works, you have to be curious enough to figure it out, learn how it works, be able to know how to learn. If you don't know how to learn, when that website breaks, it's great that I vibe coded it, but how do I fix it?
Critical thinking skills. So I'm kind of picturing, for lack of better terminology, kind of a hotel innovation camp. What do you think about that? I feel like, in hospitality, we kind of wait until people are mid-career to introduce tech. We're probably late to the party. Matter of fact, I know we're late to the party now, but you have emphasized in your YouTube video and in other places that being open, really open to new experiences and constantly reinventing yourself is key. So in our world right now, as it sits, a lot of hotel people feel locked into operations or sales or tech. So when you say reinvention, what does it look like practically over the next 5 to 10 years in your career? And I'm going to throw the word out there that I love that you brought up on your YouTube video. what does it look to be a multi-potentialite in the next 5 to 10 years? Because I love it.
Yeah. Well, I love this question because I have always been, as Michael mentioned in his introduction to me, the left brain person, the systematic, the systems thinking, the logical person, and the right brain, the creative expression, the artist. I mean, look at my background, right? And the merging of those two. So when I was teaching computer science, or even when I was studying, I studied computer graphics because I thought that was the way I could merge the computer science and the art together, studying computer graphics. All through graduate school, I danced every day. I did ballet and jazz through the PE department, and that was the way I got through dance school, leaning into that side of me. When I was an undergraduate, I always made sure I had some type of fine arts class or an art appreciation class, along with all of my stack of engineering classes that I had to do. And this idea of a multi-potentialite is a term that came into my being maybe about 3 years ago. Someone mentioned this TED Talk by Emily Wapnick. And she wrote a book called How to Be Everything, a guide. I have it here, a guide for those who still don't know what they want to be when they grow up.
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
I saw her TED Talk, got this book, and said, she sees me. How did I not know this term existed? Because all of my life, I struggled to stay in one lane.
Yep.
I felt, although as much as I loved art, that was the career that, where were you going to make money? Being an artist, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I said, computer science. I'm going to pick computer science. That's the lane. I stuck with that lane. Even when I deviated and decided to become an educator in the K-12 space, I was an educator for 17 plus years, right? And it's only a few years ago when I learned about this term and all the people in the world that live as multi-potentialites and multi-hyphenates. In this her TED Talk, when you see it, I can't come up with the examples now, but you have, in the world of computer science, actually, people don't think of it as a creative field, but the art of computer science is very creative. And as I gave the example of my mentor, who was a classical pianist and computer scientist, I love art and computer science. There are so many computer scientists who have an artistic or musical brainchild working behind them, and their love for technology and logic. And this idea that you don't have to pick one lane moving forward. Once I learned that, it opened up this world. I was like, oh, now anything is possible for me because I can be the curious learner, the curious person that I want to be. And if I love art, I can be an artist one day. If I love cooking, I can be in the kitchen and be creative in the kitchen another day. If I want to learn how to create, I'll show you this example because it's so funny. I decided I wanted to learn how to crochet, and I found
nice.
That's nice.
I love it.
I found these crochet kits and decided I was going to do that thing. And what's funny about that is that I started it with, I bought it for a present for a friend who was having a birthday, to do it as a group. And we started them, and it took me 8 months to finish. But what I'll say about that is that it's okay. Start down one lane. You might pause, go down another, see where it takes you. But back to your question, Sue, about hospitality and where we are now, those lanes are blurring. I'm happy about being in the world we are in now because that's the world I always wanted to live in, where the lines of what you do, it's more about how you are a synthesizer of information.
Yeah.
For those people who are introverts out there, like myself, that is actually a very powerful place to be in, because I grew up being a very shy person. You put me in a room with a lot of strangers, I was
I don't think so. I don't see it.
wall.
Not seeing it. Not seeing it.
I did not want to interact. No way. No.
Really?
How.
I can't see it.
No, I know, but
Can't see it.
I'm good with small groups. I'm good with small
Wow.
groups, but larger situations. Put me in a room full of people trying to network.
That's spot on, though. That's spot on. For me, though, yeah, I put that, Bill. I like marine. One thing that I love the ocean.
Mhm.
Jacques Cousteau was my man. I'm a technologist, but I always watched it. You know, I scuba dive. Love for the ocean. To me, 60 feet in the ocean is good. I'm in a different world.
Yeah.
And that just it clears my mind. But it helps me clearly think differently. And you're right. People who are technologists, they might, play the guitar. They play on piano. I know of an opera singer at the Boston Symphony Orchestra right now, who worked for a major technology company. But and in the summer, doing things with the Boston Symphony Orchestra. All right.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is staying in a lane. It's the diversification that really thinks about. And so, and even in security, there was a guy by the name of Dave Martin at RSA, and he coined the concept of saying, I'm looking for analysts. And so he took somebody with a history degree. They weren't in technology, but they're critical thinking skills. They could see things that you couldn't see.
Yes.
He took a teacher, and so you made him a security analyst. And so that part of that brain that we have, you may not have this, but you get something else that the others don't have, and it makes you better for it. So yeah, I agree with that.
You've also highlighted, and I just have to bring this out, but the whole engineering and tech degrees and how they help you solve problems. So not just like, I kind of want to address this with you and get your reaction on this. Like, what about job titles? How do you think shifting from a title like general manager, director of sales, revenue manager, what do you think if the title shifted to problem solver? Could that change the way hotels hire and grow people? So imagine, a job description that starts with, here's the problems you'll own. And I want to get your opinion on that. And I also want to share with you what I shared a little bit earlier with you on the show. Is a guy by the name of Elon Musk. I'm not sure if people know who that is, but Elon Musk, when he interviews, he asks one question. Now, he might ask more, but one question. This kind of rolls into this, and I want your feedback then on the whole title thing. The question he asks is, what's the biggest problem you've solved, and how did you solve it? He does not ask him the technical stuff about, the SpaceX engine. He asks him what is the biggest problem you've solved, and how did you solve it? So with that in mind, what's your opinion on here's the problems you'll own and changing that job description, and what would that title look like if you change?
That's a great question. I love that space of titles, right? Because they do two things. One, they attract, and then they embolden, right? So the attractor of, I want to be general manager, you're going to attract people who are attracted to that title. If you say
here's the problems you'll own.
Here's the problems you'll own, you're going to get a person who's excited about solving those problems. And I believe you'll get better quality candidates because especially in this day of AI, right, where you can get the AI to beef up your resume, beef up everything else. But if you can't come into the interview and discuss how you would overcome the problems that you would own, that's a whole different scenario to saying I'm skilled at general manager skills and things that they do, right? And that question of getting at if you're a problem solver is much better than some laundry list of, well, I know C++, I know this language, I know that language, I've whatever done this or that, because the problems of today are not the problems of yesterday.
Exactly.
And we are currently solving problems that we don't even know what we're solving, the future we're solving those problems for. And it's only going to get more unpredictable. Change is going to be more rapid, as we've seen in the past 2 years with AI. It's just everything is rapidly changing. And those people who are able to adapt, be agile, to change quickly, be flexible, be open to all those possibilities are the people who are going to rise to the top. It's really super important.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. We live in a very ambiguous world, right? I call it the kind of messy middle right now with AI. It feels, with AI and robotics and, the guests are having new expectations. We have shifting labor markets we've got to be concerned about. So you continue to say, and I agree with you completely, that flexibility here is the key in these kind of environments that we're in. It's growing so rapidly and changing so rapidly. Tell us what are some simple practices or habits that you use that help you stay grounded when you're feeling like you're in the messy middle?
Yes. The mucky muck, the messy middle, which we are continually always in. Well, I'm going to dovetail that answer to your question that you brought up about Elon Musk, the question about thinking and what's a recent big problem you've tried to solve. And for me, in founding the Innovation Doctor and moving into that world, my thing has always been that as an educator, I have always been teaching students how to problem solve, how to be innovative, how to be creative, how to, make their ideas, as I always love to say, take flight. And I would have adults, I'd have parents come up at like open houses being like, I should be in your class. Or, other teachers in my rel, I should be in your class. And I'm started thinking, adults, they don't know how to tap into their playful side, their creative side, their experiential side. And that's the revolution that I'm on, is to bring more play, curiosity, experimentation, wonder back into the lives of adults, because it is that process that gets through the messy middle, right?
Everything you learned in kindergarten matters, right?
It does. It all matters. I am willing to wade in the messy middle because I'm willing to experiment. I'm willing to say, well, what if I tried this thing? And then be willing to go down that path of chasing that what if, and then knowing that if it's a failure, then I just roll back and try another direction, right? But as adults, because the current day adult, we've been taught, stay in that lane.
That's right.
Keep that lane. Don't deviate.
Don't deviate.
And we have the last TED Talk I did was I talked about how our workplaces have designed play out of us.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that, let me ask you this, that people are not paying attention to the fact about being so rigid, right? They have anxiety about it.
Yes.
And so one of the problems I find, I teach at Northeastern University as well, part-time. And over the years, I've found that when you make a change, they can't deal with it. They can't pivot. So one day I decided I'm going to buy everybody the book, Who Moved My Cheese?
That's a great one. That's a great one.
And the foundational thing of Move My Cheese is that, man, you get used to it. They're so used to the cheese. And once they, depend upon it, it's going, well, some get angry. Some are like, how dare you do this? In the workplace, what do you mean they're going to come to work 4 days? You said 3 days. Yeah, you got it. Hey, 5 days. So
Yeah.
all of that, in that sense of people having to be able to adjust and pivot, seems to be a problem, as you know, in terms of technology change as well.
Hmm.
Um, the old way, we used to do it this way. I'm so used to doing it this way. That innovation, sometimes they're scared of it. They become,
Hmm.
and I'm sure you're seeing that. So in hospitality, over the last, say, 5 years, substantial change has occurred on two sides, not only from a guest expectations, but how, even in business, in the hotel itself, how they're doing operations, how they're managing the front desk, how they approach cleaning the room, how does food and beverage work, and operations that way. So, and from your perspective, as
Mm.
Sue had put it, 5 years from now, with all this innovation coming into the hotel thing, what do you think it's going to look like with all that change? Change for the guest experience, change for the people
Yeah.
who work there, change for people coming into the industry. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, the hospitality industry, any industry, is going to need to really learn about design thinking.
Hmm.
And so that's the framework side of that I'm teaching people, along with the joy and the creativity. But that framework of design thinking, and if you don't know what design thinking is out there, it's just a human-centered approach to problem solving.
Hmm.
And hospitality, for sure, because at the heart of it is the human
Hmm.
experience. And this design framework of really, if you understand the design process and can use that over and over again, you will not be lost in the world where things are changing and adapting and moving at a fast-paced cadence. Ooh, excuse me, I'm gonna drink a little water. Um, that process starts off with understanding your user really
Hmm.
fully, interviewing, in observing them in what they do, um, creating simulations. There's a whole array of ways that one can immerse themselves in the user experience to better understand their user, and then figuring out what the right question is. What is the problem? Sometimes we say this is the problem. That is not usually the problem. If
Hmm.
we dig a little deeper, if we do a little more digging, the problem is usually 5 steps below. If we just ask why, well, why is this the problem? Oh, because da 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 da. And you ask yourself the 5 whys. Simon Sinek has a great video about that
Yeah,
TED talk that he did
I've seen
about
that.
the 5 whys. And that whole user experience, it is really the focus. And this is where it's going. It's going to the direction of working, and the design process is not a singular problem solver. It is a
Mhm.
team experience. The questions that you ask always start with, how might we? It's not how might I,
Hi,
it's
exactly.
how might
Yes.
we?
We.
And it's a collective experience, the whole problem solving framework. And it's coming because Adam Grant has a book coming out called Vibe, which is all about connection and community and problem solving. And I just heard Seth Godin on a podcast. His next book coming out is called, I forget what it's called, Not. And it is all about problem solving and finding
Mm.
the
Awesome.
correct problem to
Yeah.
solve. And so the writing is there. It's about community, it's about learning techniques to solve problems that are constantly changing. Yeah.
And they're
I
changing quickly.
I love what you're saying there, and I know you work on this every day at the Oracle's Education Foundation. You're helping technology-based product design challenges you're working on with students, and I think that's really what you've talked about and where we are right now. How do you turn a real problem into a design challenge, right? So it it's all the whys, it's all the questions and the important questions. So what's a hospitality problem you'd love to see students attack, and how would you frame it for them? So I kind of would love to see what a group of 17-year-olds does with labor optimization. So
Mm.
like imagine the guest experience brief, like redesign check-in without a front desk. Like,
Mm.
what do you see? How do you see this coming around? I know I threw a lot out there at you, but
Yeah.
kind of giving you some ideas.
Oh
But
my gosh.
what kind of hospitality problem would you love to see the students attack? And I just gave a couple of suggestions only because that's where we're at right now, right? Labor is one of the biggest hits on a P&L statement. If we can solve that design problem, right?
Yeah.
It's framing the design issue, not the problem of labor optimization. It's the problem
not.
of design.
The problem of that is, and I'm going with the check-in process, but it's how might we help a tired individual who is looking for a rest and respite from their daily lives have a fun, or maybe it's fun, have a fun kickoff to their vacation so that it is memorable.
Yeah.
Those are the types of questions that you want to encapsulate the design process in. It's not about how might we make our labor wheel more efficient. It's about the people who are experiencing that.
And it's the guest experience.
Yeah.
You can automate check-in, right? But how do you make the guest feel seen, right? That's, at the end of the day, the guest has to feel seen. It's human nature. We're social beings. So you can't just say, go over there and use the kiosk,
No,
like
you can
automate a lot.
Tell them to have the phone and you can do the automatic check-in, because I'm probably looking at that. I don't trust that. I want to talk to a human being. I want that.
Right. And you hit it. You hit it right. It's about trust. Do they really trust the technology and getting them to do that? And I don't think we're there. And they're still stuck on, they want authentic innovation, meaning a human person, right? Versus artificial innovation, all right? And, getting that mindset change is something that's really in progress today, all right? It's going to be interesting 5 years down the road before, we are now 100%, because, this generation's growing up with the technology. They're growing up with AI in high school. They're getting that education, and et cetera, et cetera. Sue said something, brought forward something earlier, and that was about the innovation camp. That camp concept. The lab, the learning lab.
Yeah, learning lab, yeah.
And so I had worked for a hotel, Sonesta, and one of the things that I was thinking about as I merged into it is that a summer camp based on a learning laboratory at a hotel. I want you to take that a hotel, and use it like training, like police officers would train to go into. If you go to Quantico, they have a town, hotel, everything. Clear that room, operate that room, everything to make it look real. And so it would be nice to take high school students and invite them in and to do so and to have these discussions. How do you solve that problem about the guest experience, the check-in that you said? Is this something that has been I know, Sue, you've been playing around with that, and I just think it's a concept they should think about. There's space camps, and why can't there be hospitality camps?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, what's the on top of that, Michael? So, Dr. Abigail, what's the non-negotiable human module here? What are those non-negotiables that you're like, the human just has to do this? What are your thoughts about the non-negotiables, that whole human module, I'll call it?
Yeah, well, as Michael was describing this idea of a hospitality camp, I was thinking about how there are many schools, K-12 schools, that are on university campuses, and they're often called lab schools, right? It's a school that exists on a university campus for the purposes of the education school being able to study better curriculum practices, better pedagogy practices, and all these things in a K-12 environment. And so I was thinking, how cool would it be to have a hotel somewhere that was a lab hotel, and guests knew it was much like medical schools do it too. They have the students, the practicing student facilities, and people know that they might get a student that's working with them on them.
Well, hairstylists do that too, right?
Yeah.
Like you're going to the, like, yeah, that's where my mom took us. That's why
to the school where they're practicing
haircuts.
Right?
But you knew that, and you paid a lot less.
Right. But
you were there to let them mess with your hair to learn learn how to.
I've seen similar. Endicott College comes to mind. They have a hotel that the students who are taking hospitality, they actually work. They have the hotel. It's on campus. It's a functional hotel. People can come stay with students running it and operation and etc. Supervised by a dean in that program. And but I'm thinking about is like, you want to train them up, right? Train up the child in the way they should go. Train up the hospitality person the way they should go. And that is where this, let's go to hospitality camp. I really think it's a concept that you guys should run with. So I think it's something the industry should think about.
Well, and the interesting place about it also is now then you put that design layer on top of it.
Exactly.
Because you have a human audience from which they can interview, they can observe doing the different things, right? They can immerse themselves. They can take on the role of a customer and go through the whole experience to really understand what is happening from the time they hit the door to the time they get to their room. And so having these authentic means to do this design work and study would just be that much more impactful. Yeah.
So if you play on that, like, I'm thinking about, on top of that layer, right, is scholarship programs, like internships. You have mentorship that people talk about all the time. Which one moves the needle the fastest? And if you were a hotelier listening to this, what might that look like for them? Like, what moves the needle the fastest? Or is it a combination? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's probably a combination of those things, but I would say in my experience that good mentoring is hands down probably one of the more effective ways to move the needle, because then people have, they see what good looks like. And they see models, right? So this idea of models, being able to have that experience, right? Not everyone can afford to pay for that experience. So if you're trying to get diverse perspectives, that's the other piece about the design model that is really crucial and important, right? Is the why it's a we is because you need the diverse perspectives to get at all the different parts of the problem effectively. And so if I was in the hospitality industry, I would really think about mentoring, shadowing. I think a guest shadow, it doesn't even have to be a guest shadow. It's just going through the guest experience. And I don't know if that is a thing that people in the hospitality do, but I think it's very important.
Well, it's an important attribute of the hotel industry right now. It is all about the guest experience. How you want to be different. How do you cater? And everyone has everyone. Some people like Italian food. Some people like this and that, right? And so how do you cater to that and be diverse and be able to please everybody for that guest experience? So repetitiously they will commit to your brand. Right, and come back again. And we want that to have a wonderful experience. But let me ask you this, and you're with this organization, and I had said it to you earlier that I was going to kind of come to you about it. Talk about the foundation, the Oracle Education Foundation. Can you expand on that? What does it do? Tell us about it.
Yeah. So the Oracle Education Foundation is a foundation funded by Oracle, the company, and it's been in the form that it's in for the past 10 years. It's been in an evolution phase, but in the form that we are currently, we are a small team of full-time employees at Oracle whose full-time assignment is working in the Education Foundation. And we work with partners at high schools all across the country and the world to deliver technical-based design challenges. And it depends on the school, the partner school that we're working with, how we deliver this curriculum and how we go about delivering these experiences. But our primary focus is a school that exists on that Oracle helped build. It resides on Oracle's campus in Redwood Shores. And we do a 2-week elective class for them. That's a 30-hour class during their school year. 3 times a year, we offer electives as part of their elective experience. And we run them through design challenges, but we also do different experiences at different schools. So I work with a school in Austin where we do a push-in into a classroom, an engineering classroom, and I work with the engineering teacher to help develop one unit of her engineering class that's part of the school year. And so we can work with students in that way. And we also have, we work with our Latin American counterparts to deliver a 2-day experience for our different junior achievements in the Latin Americas. So we work with about 6 different Latin American countries.
Wow.
My colleague designs the curriculum, and then our counterparts in these different Latin American countries translate it into Spanish and Brazil, in Portuguese, and deliver this 2-day curriculum.
Wow.
But we're a very tiny team doing big work. And as I said before, we're kind of in this crossroads with everyone else, just trying to think about how in this world of AI, in this world of rapid change, how do you teach young people to solve primarily our fundamental directive is to help build young problem solvers.
And you have to do it globally. And so I like the fact that they're in South America. Are they expanding out to places in African countries in that continent?
We are, as I said, a little tiny foundation, team of 5.
Organically growing, right?
Yes,
Organically growing is the key. So yeah, so great. I mean, so the foundation is doing some innovative thing. Do you see in the challenges with the literacy for AI being an issue and a challenge right now? AI literacy at that level. You talk about in the K through 12. And so, I mean, for example, I'm hoping even to get someone to even write, if someone's listening out there, write a book on AI, kind of like a child's book, kind of incorporated into it. We're starting to see more of that into the cartoons and artificial intelligence. They do know how to use it, technology. I see little kids like on a tablet. They know, right? But do you see a challenge, or do you see more in schools? Because what you don't want to do is the digital divide. We don't want to be left in that. This is moving so rapidly that we have to, boost it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, the chasm is coming. The chasm is coming. The divide is coming, and the divide. I mean, it looks different from the divide of the past of who has access to technology or Wi-Fi, or it's a different divide, and it's more a divide of who is being educated to use AI in an effective manner, right? So I know we've all heard the headlines and seen the things of in the field of education, a lot of the focus has been on our students cheating. They're using it to cheat. They're using it to shortcut their learning, all of these different things. And the landscape is really focused on how to empower, and as you said, AI literacy, the idea of how to teach students to effectively use the AI to push their learning, to push their thinking. And education has to change along with the times of it is no longer efficient to give students a problem that they can easily look up with AI or look up on the internet. The problems have to become deeper. They have to be about problem solving and focus on teaching students principles of
Your audio.
how do you even analyze what AI is giving back to you? How do you know it's right? How do you know it's correct? It's steering you in the right direction. All these thinking processes are where we're at. And I sit on the board of the Computer Science Teachers Association. I'd be remiss to give that a little shout out. And that's a place where we're thinking about this whole integration of AI and AI literacy with computing and stuff.
In the classroom, it's very important.
Don't you also feel like there's a democratization of education right now? I mean, to your point, like if there's not access to Wi-Fi, if there's not access to a computer or a phone, yes, that's where the divide's going to happen. Yet and still, I feel like in this day and age, nearly everybody has access to a phone, right? Nearly everybody. And you can use ChatGPT, Claude, like they have free versions. So is it that they're scared of it? They're not curious enough to try? Or because in part, some of this divide is happening because the people themselves don't want to change. So I'm blame that. It's just like, I feel like there's this democratization of education is apparent everywhere. It's no longer, well, they go to Stanford because their parents have enough money. Well, guess what? ChatGPT is available to everybody. Okay. Yes. I don't know. I'm just having a hard time feeling sorry for a lot of people right now.
Yeah. Well, and it's not, I think in the K-12 space, it's more about the gatekeepers, right?
Yeah.
We have to remember that there are the gatekeepers who are telling them you can't use it in school, you can't use it for this.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So that's a layer of it, but I love where you're going, and where AI is the best creative partner that I have found in this modern day experience, especially as a person who's trying to build up a business as a solopreneur. I don't have a creative department. I don't have a marketing team. I don't have anyone to write my copy or read my copy or edit my copy or help bounce ideas off of. And so in that way, I love what you're saying about it being, everyone has access to it, but everyone doesn't know how to use it effectively.
And that's it. And that's the key. Everyone does not know how to use it. So look, Dr. Abigail, it has been great having you on this show, and I'm hoping you'll come back. Because once we go tiptoe through the tulips of technology, as we are getting now more in AI, I'm sure you'll have a lot to tell us.
That's the human side, Michael, right?
Yes,
right.
Human in the loop, right?
Yes, always.
So look, again, it's great. We've got about, as we wind it down, the music's playing, and it's like the Apollo shows. I tell everybody, sooner or later that person's going to come up and pull you off the stage. So. With that said, we're just going to wind it down. Thank you once again, Dr. Abigail, and to my co-host, Sue. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great conversation. Really appreciate it. And to our sponsors as well.
Right. And our sponsors are with the Workforce Montgomery. Thank you to you, Integrity Restaurant Group. Thank you, IBM. Thank you as well. So this has been a great episode 32. Thanks for joining us. Until next time. On the Hospitality Show, I'm Mike Woodson. Good night to all of you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.